The Forgotten Father, The Empty Seat. In a quiet suburb of Chicago, at the end of Maplewood Lane, stood an old two-story house with peeling white paint and a front porch that hadn't seen laughter in years. Inside that house lived Thomas Reed, a retired history teacher. He was 68, thin but dignified, the kind of man who ironed his shirts even when no one was coming over, and set the dinner table for two even when he knew he'd eat alone. Once, that house was alive. There were echoes of little feet running down the stairs, bedtime stories whispered under warm blankets, and birthday candles blown out with laughter. But now, silence lived there. His wife, Eleanor, had passed away 7 years ago. His son, Ryan, and daughter, Claire, had promised to visit soon. But soon had stretched into years. Every morning, Thomas brewed 2 cups of coffee, one for himself, one for the memory of Eleanor. He'd look at her photo and whisper, "They'll come this Sunday, Ellie. You'll see." But Sunday after Sunday, no one. That morning, Thomas checked his phone. One new voicemail from Ryan. "Hey Dad, sorry, can't make it again. The kids have soccer, and the firm's drowning me. You understand, right?" He ended with the same half-hearted line he always used. "Love you, Dad." Thomas smiled faintly. "Love you too, son," he said to the empty room. But his eyes said something else, a quiet, tired ache. Later that day, he looked through an old photo album, Ryan with his first bicycle, Claire wearing her graduation gown. He touched the pictures gently, as if afraid they might crumble. "You used to run to me for everything," he whispered. "Now I can't even get a phone call returned." Sometimes Thomas would walk to Maplewood High School, where he had taught for 35 years. The building looked smaller now. The next morning, the sky over Chicago was pale gray, heavy clouds hanging low as if even the heavens were waiting. At 8 a.m., Ryan rushed through the hospital corridor, his tie crooked, eyes tired but full of guilt. He hadn't run this fast since college. Outside room 213, he stopped, his hand trembling before touching the door handle. Through the small window, he saw his father lying quietly, oxygen tube across his face, the steady beep, beep of the monitor filling the silence. Ryan stepped inside slowly. Thomas looked pale, but peaceful. His eyes fluttered open and focused weakly on his son. Thomas, smiling faintly. "Ryan, you came." Ryan, teary, "Of course I did, Dad. I should have come sooner." Thomas, "It's all right, son. You're here now. That's what matters." Ryan sat down beside him, holding his hand. For a moment, the years of distance faded. It was just a father and son again, the same way it used to be when Ryan was a boy afraid of the dark. The flight from California. Meanwhile, Claire sat on a plane to Chicago, gripping her phone. She had cried through half the flight. Every message she read from her father over the years, every unanswered text, every missed call, felt like a stab to the heart. When she landed, she rushed to the hospital, still in her business suit, hair undone, mascara streaked from tears. She entered quietly. "Claire," softly. "Dad." Thomas, turning slowly. "Claire, my little girl." Her voice broke. She hugged him, whispering, "I'm sorry, Dad. I've been so selfish." Thomas, smiling, "No, sweetheart. You've just been living. I'm proud of you." They sat together, talking about small things, her work, the kids, the old house. For the first time in years, laughter returned to room 213. The missing book. A few days later, Thomas was stable enough to go home. Ryan offered to drive him, and Claire promised to visit every week. When they reached the house on